point. A second concern I want to address is the very important concerns of the disability advocates that with the removal of the requirement that death be imminent, there will be pressure on the vulnerable in our society to choose medical assistance in dying. Nothing in C7 changes the very high standards set in the original C14 for receiving medical assistance in dying. In order to receive this assistance, patients must have a condition that is incurable. They must be in an advanced state of irreversible decline, and they must face intolerable suffering. This means that C7 doesn't open the door for MAiD wide, as some have suggested. But let me be clear here. I do not in any way wish to dismiss the concern of the disability community over their vulnerability. That's why I've been calling for the expanded mandate for the statutory review that would require it to consider the question of whether safeguards to protect the vulnerable in our medical assistance in dying legislation are adequate. And again, this may require a special committee to look beyond the narrow confines of the medical assistance in dying legislation to other health legislation and other social support legislation. That's why my colleague, the Member of Parliament for Elmwood-Transcona, and I have just delivered today a joint letter to the Minister of Disabilities calling for a new national income support program set at $2,200 per month for all persons with disabilities. This would be a single national program to replace the patchwork of provincial programs that rarely come close to the amount that we've all now acknowledged with CERB as the minimum necessary. Providing such a benefit would be an important step toward a guaranteed basic income for all Canadians. But more importantly, in the context of this bill, this would provide support at a level that would help avoid placing persons with disabilities in a position where dying looks like a better option than living without the supports they need. Failure to provide the necessary resources to ensure that everyone can enjoy full and equal participation in life is a long-standing and ongoing black mark on the federal parliament and all provincial parliaments. We have only to look at the failure to deliver additional assistance promptly to persons with disabilities during this pandemic to remind ourselves how often we forget about those living with disabilities. As we consider how to recover from the pandemic, I hope we can adopt this proposed federal program that would provide all people with disabilities the equivalent of a living wage. This would be an important step toward relieving those fears about having to make a terrible choice eventually with medical assistance in dying. Given the speeches from all parties stressing the need to take the situation of people with disabilities seriously in light of the Quebec Superior Court decision, I believe we should be able to marshal immediate support for this proposal in a minority parliament. It would be an important step in mending the gaps in our social safety net that COVID has revealed, but COVID has also taught us we can roll out income support programs quickly when we really want to do so.